Chase Sapphire Preferred has historically been the most commonly recommended travel credit card out there, but with tons of changes in the credit card landscape over the past couple of years, the question is it still worth it? So in this video, I want to give you my completely honest thoughts on the Chase Sapphire Preferred as it stands in 2026. We'll go over what this card offers and where it falls short to help you decide if the Sapphire Preferred is worth it for you. So let's start with the basics. First, the Chase Sapphire Preferred has a $95 annual fee. And in the world of travel credit cards, $95 is on the lower end and puts the Sapphire Preferred comfortably in the beginner travel credit card category in comparison to premium travel credit cards like the Amex Platinum, which is an $895 annual fee, or even the Sapphire Preferred's older brother, the Sapphire Reserve, which has a $795 annual fee. But with that being said, it's still real money. So everything we talk about in this video, from the bonus to the points to the benefits, needs to justify that $95 in terms of the value it delivers. The second thing we need to talk about is Chase's 524 rule, because this is the gatekeeper before anything else matters. Chase will not approve you for this card if you've opened 5 or more personal credit cards across all issuers in the past 24 months. Not 5 Chase cards, 5 total personal cards. Amex counts, Capital One counts, Citi counts, and as I pointed out, this is only affected by personal cards, and business credit cards do not affect your Chase 524 status. So if you're at 524 or above, you will have to wait until you drop below that threshold before applying. And this is why so many people recommend prioritizing Chase cards early in your credit card journey, because once you go over 524, you're essentially locked out of most Chase cards until some of those accounts age past 2 years old. So before you even think about applying, figure out your Chase 524 status. Next, let's talk about bonus eligibility, because this has changed. Chase no longer uses their old 48-month rule for the Sapphire cards. That used to mean that as long as you hadn't gotten a bonus in the last 4 years on either the Sapphire Preferred or the Sapphire Reserve, you could get the card again and be eligible for the bonus. Instead, it's now been changed to 1 bonus per lifetime per Sapphire product. That means you can earn the Sapphire Preferred bonus once in your lifetime, and you can also earn the Sapphire Reserve bonus once in your lifetime. But you cannot earn the same Sapphire bonus twice. So if you get the Preferred now, cancel it later, and try apply again in a few years, you won't be eligible for another Preferred bonus. This makes the timing all the more important as it pertains to which welcome bonus you go for, which we will touch on in a second. And then the last general background tidbit to understand is the available downgrade paths, because this is something people don't always think about when they apply for a credit card, but is important if down the line, if you decide you don't want to pay that $95 annual fee anymore. So with the Sapphire Preferred, you can downgrade to a no annual fee Chase Freedom card, like the Freedom Unlimited or the Freedom Flex, and keep your credit history intact. That's important because it means you don't have to cancel the account outright. You can preserve your credit age and your credit limit. However, you cannot downgrade and then re-upgrade later, expecting to earn the bonus again. The bonus is tied to opening the product new, and again, it's once per lifetime per Sapphire card. But now that we've covered the structure and the rules, let's talk about where the real value comes from, and that starts with the welcome bonus. Right now, the standard public offer on the Chase Sapphire Preferred is 75,000 Ultimate Rewards points after spending $5,000 in the first 3 months. This is a change from the old standard offer where the card sat for years at 60,000 points after spending $4,000 in spend. Both offers technically have the same return on spend, so it's not a significant change in that sense, but you do get an extra 15,000 points for the additional 1K in spend. So in my opinion, it's well worth it, especially considering how valuable Chase points are, which we will also touch on in a bit. From time to time, we do see elevated offers on this card, sometimes 80,000 points, and we've even seen as high as a 100,000 point welcome offer a little bit less than a year back. However, even at the standard 75,000 points, I think this is still a great bonus. At a very basic level, the standard 75,000 points are worth $750 if you redeem them for straight cash back at a rate of 1 cent per point. And this serves as the floor value, being the absolute minimum you should expect from these points. Historically, another option you had when it comes to redeeming your points was to book travel through the Chase Travel Portal at a fixed rate of 1.25 cents per point with the Sapphire Preferred. But Chase has since moved away from that flat redemption structure. Instead, they've introduced what's called Points Boost, where certain travel redemptions through the portal can offer elevated value. Sometimes this is up to 1.5 cents per point, depending on the flight, hotel, or promotion. The key difference now is that the boost is not guaranteed across the board. Some bookings may still price close to 1 cent per point, while others may offer significantly more value. So the portal redemption value is now variable instead of fixed. Because of that, I think this option has become a little more complicated than it once was, but is potentially good when those elevated redemptions match your travel preferences. But if you're looking to get the most value out of this card, the real way you should be using your Chase points is by transferring your points to one of their transfer partners at a 1-to-1 ratio. I will pop up on screen now a list of all of Chase's current partners, and there are some great options here for getting outsized value, including Air Canada Aeroplan and Flying Blue, but when it comes to Chase transfer partners, I, along with the vast majority of users, consider the best transfer partner to be Hyatt. The reason being is that Hyatt offers some of the best reward night redemption rates of any hotel chain. This is because Hyatt operates on a semi-fixed award chart where there's a maximum number of points that can be charged for a stay. For example, if you wanted to stay at one of Hyatt's most expensive properties, which fall under category 8 in their award chart, the highest rate a standard room can cost you is 45,000 points in peak season. Compare that to the likes of Hilton or Marriott, where a standard room at one of their nicest resorts could run you 150,000 points or more. So, depending on the cash price of the room at the time of your desired stay, you could potentially get upwards of 3 cents per point at some Hyatt properties. Now, real quick, I'm recording this a few days later, and I wanted to make a quick update because since I initially recorded this video, Hyatt has announced a new award chart that they will be implementing come May 2026, where there has been a pretty drastic point devaluation as they've increased the amount of points required for stays almost entirely across the board. Looking at the upcoming chart versus the current chart, you'll see a category 8 hotel at peak season would have cost you 45,000 points for a night, whereas now it will cost a whopping 75,000 points a night. The effects are felt across the board, but I feel like this change will have the biggest impact at those high-end premium stays where it just becomes a lot harder to get outsized value. There will still be some sweet spots on the low end where there might be a really good redemption out there, but I have a feeling those will now be much harder to come by. So with that being said, I think this is a really negative change for Hyatt, and thus Chase Ultimate Rewards points as a whole, but later on in the video I will discuss options outside of Hyatt as well, so I don't think it's completely over for Chase, and I just wanted to say that my overall conclusions still remain the same after this change. Realistically, when it comes to my Chase Ultimate Rewards points, I look to target a value of about 2 cents per point. Now, this isn't a hard rule, so sometimes I book even with a lower redemption rate, but if you're looking to get the most out of your points, I think this is very achievable. At that valuation, 75,000 points are worth $1,500 in travel, and at that level, the welcome bonus alone covers the $95 annual fee for over a decade. Of course, that assumes you're willing to learn how transfer partners work and put in a little bit of effort. If you're only going to redeem for statement credits or simple portal bookings without paying attention to the value, then you're probably capping yourself closer to 1 cent per point. And in that case, there are simpler cashback cards that I think might be a better fit for you. Sapphire Preferred is a card more targeted for travel redemptions, so this makes sense. Last thing I'll cover on this welcome bonus is the $5,000 minimum spend requirement. For some people, that's easy. For others, especially if you don't have any planned expenses coming up, it could be tight. And if you fail to hit the minimum spend, you lose the majority of the value proposition in year one. So before applying, you need to be confident that you can hit that spending organically without changing your spending habits, because chasing points by overspending completely defeats the upside of getting the points in the first place. So you personally need to decide whether or not you can hit that welcome offer without overextending yourself. And if you do think it's worth it and doable for you, you can check out my link down in the description, which fully transparently will give me a referral bonus if you go through and are approved. But this comes at no added cost to you, so thank you very much for supporting the channel if you do use it. With that being said, let's switch gears to talking about the card's point multipliers so that when the welcome offer does run out, you are still earning points to redeem for travel. The Chase Sapphire Preferred earns 5x points on travel booked through the Chase Travel Portal, 3x on dining, select streaming services, and online grocery purchases, 2x on all other travel purchases, and 1x back on everything else. In my opinion, these multipliers aren't anything to write home about. 3 points on dining is good, and 3 points on online groceries is also useful if you like to shop that way, and the 2x on general travel is respectable, especially since it applies broadly to things like hotels, flights, taxis, trains, ride shares, and it's a pretty wide definition. But these are not groundbreaking multipliers. The 5x through the Chase portal sounds great, but you always have to compare portal pricing versus booking direct, and sometimes it's identical and sometimes it's not. So I wouldn't blindly route all travel through the portal just to get that multiplier. But honestly, the Sapphire Preferred is not designed to be your dominant everyday spending card. It's designed to be a strong foundation card inside the Chase ecosystem. The multipliers are good enough to be competitive, especially for dining and travel, but the real strength is that it unlocks the ability to transfer your points out to those transfer partners that we talked about earlier. Personally, I don't use the Sapphire card as my catch-all card for everything. I use it primarily for redeeming my points, and then I pair it with other Chase cards that earn at higher rates in different categories, like the Freedom Unlimited and the Freedom Flex, and pool all the points together on the Sapphire Preferred. So if you plan on running this card as a one-card credit card setup, it's alright, but it becomes much stronger when you build a system around it. Now, outside of the welcome bonus and the multipliers, there are a few additional benefits that help this card justify the $95 annual fee. And some of them are actually more important than people realize. First, the Sapphire Preferred gives you 10% of your overall points earned throughout the year as an anniversary bonus. So if you earn 40,000 points from spending, you'll receive 4,000 bonus points. This is nothing huge, but that 4,000 point bonus is a minimum of $40 and likely more like $80. And when you combine that with the next benefit, which is the $50 annual hotel credit for bookings made through Chase Travel, it becomes really, really powerful. This annual hotel credit is automatically applied when you make an eligible hotel booking through the travel portal. There's no enrollment requirement, and it resets every card member year. Now, with credits, the real question is whether you would naturally use it. If you already book at least one hotel per year where portal pricing is reasonable, this is an easy $50 in value. In my mind, that effectively reduces the annual fee from $95 down to around $45. But if you're someone who exclusively books direct for elite status benefits and avoids portals entirely, then you may not value this at the full $50 amount. Moving on, we have the travel protections, which in my opinion are one of the strongest perks with this card. The Sapphire Preferred comes with primary rental car insurance, which means if you rent a car and decline the rental company's collision coverage, you don't have to involve your personal auto insurance first if something happens. That's a big deal, and most credit cards that offer a similar benefit are offering secondary coverage, meaning you have to go through your personal insurance first. Then on top of this, you also get trip cancellation and interruption insurance, trip delay reimbursement, baggage delay insurance when you pay for your travel with the card. These are the kinds of benefits you don't think about until something goes wrong, like a delayed flight, a missed connection, or you lose your luggage. And when that does happen, having coverage can easily justify the annual fee in one incident. The card also has no foreign transaction fees, which makes it a strong option to use internationally without worrying about a surcharge just for swiping your card abroad. And because it's a Visa, acceptance worldwide is generally very, very strong. So when you combine the anniversary bonus, the hotel credit, and the travel protection, Sapphire Preferred starts to look less just like a points earning card and more like a well-rounded travel tool. Now, I think it's important to share with you the common complaints and negatives about this card so that you can have all the info available to you when making your decision. The largest complaint I hear is that the spending multipliers are not great. I already alluded to this earlier, but some people are frustrated by the earning categories because some other travel cards out there offer better earnings rates. However, those cards usually fall into one of two categories. One, they are premium travel cards, meaning they have much higher annual fees than the Sapphire Preferred at $395 or more. Or two, they have better earning categories, but have, in my opinion, worse transfer partners. I personally give a lot of weight to Chase's transfer partners, in particular Hiebert, and that leads me to the second complaint, which is that if you don't care about Hiebert, then Chase's transfer partners aren't that good. I do think this is partially true. If you take away Hiebert, the list becomes less glamorous, and maybe there are other issuers with other transfer partners. But I do think, one, there still are good airline options to transfer your points to, and two, taking away any issuer's best transfer partner is going to make their options look weaker. So really, you just need to decide whether or not you like Chase's transfer options, and that will largely dictate which card you should get. And if the answer is that yes, you do like their transfer partners, it makes the question from the beginning of the video, is the Chase Sapphire Preferred still worth it? Very, very easy, and to me, that answer is yes. I think this is still the best beginner travel credit card that gets you into the world of credit card points and transfer partners, and is the easiest place to start for getting a lot of value from your credit cards. So if you want to apply for the Sapphire Preferred, like I mentioned earlier, you can check out my link down in the description, and thank you very much if you do go through with using that link. Thanks so much for watching, and consider checking out this video over here where I cover the Chase Freedom Unlimited, which is a great card to pair with the Sapphire Preferred. And if that's not your speed, consider checking out this video down here.